You're listening to RTI Audio, powered by Rocky Top Insider. This is Pancakes and Bacon with VFL, Kyler Kervison, and Reed Bacon.
Hello, Vol Nation. Welcome to another episode of Pancakes and Bacon. I'm your host, as always, Kyler Kervison, joined with Reed Bacon. We have a great one today. The Vols are 3-0. They're absolutely dominating every single opponent that they face. So joyous time in the state of Tennessee. Before any of that, if you guys are watching, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave some comments. If you're just listening, rate and review, download, re-download. It helps with the numbers. But we're going to jump into this thing. We're going to talk Oklahoma too, because now we're getting into big boy ball. But before we do any of that, Reed, how are we doing, bud?
Yellow.
There he is. Them tits didn't look too good today, huh?
What's that?
I said them titans didn't look too good today, did they?
No, actually, the Titans played all right today. I'm fine with today. I'm fine with today. Do I want to win? Yeah, and did Will have an unbelievably dumb football play 2 weeks in a row? Yeah, he did, and I appreciate Brian Callahan saying, "What the f- are you doing?" Because that's
you're not going to win football games with Will Levis at quarterback. I'm here to tell you, we've been watching it way too long.
But you're a Titans fan too. Why
I am a Titans fan, and I don't like the decision of picking Will Levis and having him be the starting quarterback. And I don't think there's ever going to be a chance the Titans are a good team with him at quarterback.
The funny thing is, I think we're good. I think we're a pretty good team now. The Titans should be 1-1. I do think that the Jets will be a solid team this year. That defense is super nice. With the Williams brothers. That looks like freaking Kyler Kervison and Reed Bacon out there, high school circa 2007 or 8.
Was he running into his back a lot?
All right. I see how that's going to be. I see how
I got to every time because you were doing it on freaking purpose.
Yeah, but I did that in practice just to mess with you. But no, Quincy Williams, the linebacker, is fantastic. His brother Quinnen is one of the best D linemen in the league. They got Aaron Rodgers, and I was happy with how the Titans played today. I'm still way more frustrated with the debacle of last week. You should never, ever lose a game when your defense is playing as good as they were playing and you're up 17-0 or 17-3, whatever it was. I mean, that should never happen. So the Titans should be 1-1, which is what I expected. I would have expected us to play well, beat the Bears, play well, probably end up losing in a close one to the Jets. And that's what should have happened. But, we're here at 0-2.
But, we have Will Levis at quarterback, so.
Yeah.
Point proven.
But to be honest with you, like you said, to be honest with you, I'm totally fine with how we played today. Really, I am. Did I want to win the game? Yes, but I'm fine with how the Titans played. Big weekend for you, though. I mean, you guys, you and the wife took a very quick trip to Nolan's. I want to hear how it was. So was it cool?
It was great. Yeah. Went down to New Orleans just for a weekend, just kind of like unwind a little bit. But yeah, it was fun. Had some good food, good seafood, good po' boys, some really good po' boys down there.
Yeah.
Did a little architecture tour down the Garden District. We like to do that. Now that I'm in this profession, I like studying houses even more, being like, they did that. Oh, they did that. Now down in the Garden District, a lot of these houses are built in 1800s.
I was about to say 100 years old.
Yeah, they're 100 plus years old. So it's really cool to see them like. Now, would I love to go inside them? Yes. But obviously you see it from the street, just seeing some of the architecture, it's a lot of fun. And then, still had some time to watch some games in the afternoon, and then had a really nice dinner Saturday night. And
that's what I was going to ask if y'all went to a nice dinner on Saturday.
Yeah, went to a nice dinner. Pesh is what it's called. We got some swordfish. Got some crab, like pasta. That was awesome.
Little crab ragoon.
Yeah, I don't know if it was ragu. It was something else.
Okay.
Tortellini, possibly.
Okay.
Possibly.
And I'm not trying to hate on the city of Nolans, and I really want to go and experience it. But is it as dirty as people say it is? Like the streets and stuff?
Well, we really stayed away from Bourbon Street, so.
But everything else you saw was fine, not dirty or anything.
No, it was fine. I think it was like a typical city. Like you're gonna have some random ass smells in random places. And we lived downtown Nashville for a while, so it's like, I know what downtown living is like, and we did stay in the Garden District, so it was like we were kind of outside of the city. We went into the city to eat and then would leave. So I don't think it was as bad. Something that's wild. Yeah, something that's wild down there is they let plant life just go, dude. They just let trees do what they freaking want, and sidewalks are just lifted 4 feet in the air from roots. It's crazy. And trees are going through telephone lines all over the place. They just let it go. You can't do that here.
Mm-hmm.
There's a 10-foot rule with all kind of trees around telephone poles and lines. And they redo sidewalks all the time when roots dig them up. But down there, it's literally like walking over the sidewalk. You're just
it's part of it.
It's just part of it.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, that's kind of neat. I guess it's kind of neat that it's it's just a part of New Orleans and that whole vibe. I wouldn't want to live like that, but I will be excited to go down there and see it and check it out.
Yeah.
So,
fun trip.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to start with my quote.
Hit me. No mercy.
That's there's I don't think there really needs to be any explaining on that one.
Yeah, who are you quoting?
Anyone, me, maybe all the wrestlers from the late 1990s.
Maybe a nameless, faceless would have been a good quote too.
Yeah, that nameless and faceless. I've heard that one a couple of times in my life from different football coaches.
Yeah.
So here's the deal, Kyler. We're going to start talking Vols here. Am I excited? Yes, I'm extremely excited. This is really, really cool. It's awesome and it's nice. But there is a part of me that's I still pump the brakes a little bit, and not pump the brakes with your excitement.
Yes.
But and I know people are probably joking, and there's some of that just kind of grin and smile when you do it. But people saying Tennessee's the best team in college football, or we're top 5 or top whatever. It's guys, I want to be. I still want to be hey, let's not do all that talking yet, bro. Because we truly haven't done anything to deserve it yet this year. And so it kind of annoys me as fans. It's be excited for your team and enjoy it, but don't start saying all this stuff. And
don't argue against Georgia and Texas and Ohio State. We haven't done what needs to be done.
And I don't even care how they look. I know someone could listen to this as Tennessee fans and be like, well, did you see how bad Georgia looked against Kentucky last night? Let me tell you something. Kentucky's still better than the 3 teams we've probably played. It might be a toss-up when North Carolina State are Texas is in a league of their own, because even though I think Michigan is grossly overrated to start the year and they're going to finish probably 7 or 8 wins,
they're better than NC State.
Right, exactly. And then Alabama, I know Alabama hasn't really played anyone, but going to Wisconsin is still a probably tougher task than NC State, neutral site.
Yeah.
Tennessee's got the best, the most elite wide receiver group in the nation. Pump the brakes on some of the you're just setting yourself up, and you're setting your team up, and youyou're setting the Vol Nation up for all people holding all these receipts, like talk your talk, but like enjoy what you're doing. Like it's insane to put up 60 points in a half.
It's crazy.
I mean, you were on teams where you all scored, put up yards, rushing yards, and all that. But to have 60 points at half, to have not given up a touchdown, the other team was like in the negative of yards and hadn't crossed midfield for a certain time, and like all these ridiculous stats and still haven't getting up TD. That stuff's incredible because what you're doing is you are dominating who's in front of you.
Yeah.
But enjoy the domination of who's in front of you and be excited to who you're playing, but don't go out there and start. Like, I've even got people texting me that are like, wow, Tennessee's incredible. Like, you guys are going to rout Oklahoma next week. And I'm like, I mean, I hope so, and I expect Tennessee to win. But, guys, it's been UTC and Kent State and in North Carolina State. And the thing about North Carolina State, I checked it last night, they were in a dogfight with La Tech. I mean, at one point they're losing that game. And so it's like, listen, I'm not trying to come on here and poo-poo it because I'm ecstatic about a lot of stuff. Yeah. But it just annoys me because it's like, maybe this is where you and I are fans, but we come from a former player background, and sometimes I even think that I look at stuff and think of stuff as a coach, meaning like I understand why they do coach speak sometimes. I don't think as a fan. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, yo, like I would just be pissed if I was another fan base and I'm here in Tennessee talk this mess. It's like, bro, like y'all have played 3 sorry-ass teams. Now, granted, you've beaten the brakes off of them, and it looks great, but don't say we're the best team in the country, like, because – we haven't earned that yet. We want to earn it. I want to earn that.
Yeah. Plus, it's like, you know, what Saban says all the time, freaking rat poison. Like, start getting too big for your britches. Start feeling like you can do whatever you want out there. That's when mistakes happen. That's when guys they overlook teams. I mean, hell, you give them too much confidence. They say they do go ahead and beat Oklahoma. What happens the next week? Or when they're playing Arkansas, they have a bye, and then they're playing Arkansas. Like, do they overlook them, right? Do they like, Arkansas, like, this is going to be easy? You know, like, do you get too confident in yourself? And it's just like, listen, one game at a time, one drive at a time, one play at a time. We'll figure this out.
And I love as much as Heupel frustrates me sometimes with the coach speak, I do love that they're winning 60-0 at halftime, and he's coming off the field, and he's like, yeah, did pretty good, executed pretty well. Still got a couple things we could do better, but, you know, we got to go in here, get and, you know, do what we need to do at halftime, come back out and execute. And then I was listening to him today because usually you and I record on Sundays mornings.
Yeah.
Since you traveled, we're recording now after the Titans game. And so I took time today and I listened to what Heupel said last night, and someone asked him about, hey, what is this? Did you ever been a part of a game where you scored 60 at halftime? And I love that he was just like, you know, I don't know. You know what I mean? And then my other favorite thing is they're like, hey, you're playing good ball. Do you like the momentum? And he's like, well, sure. Like, I like to be playing good and have good momentum. But he literally said every week is its own entity. And that is true. Like, it is true. And
yeah, literally what you just brought up, Georgia, Kentucky. It's true. Last week we just saw Kentucky get the brakes beat off them by South Carolina. Yeah. And they come in and absolutely dogfight with Georgia. Get defense all over the place. It's like, what is that from one week to the next? That's why you can't be like, oh, we're good. We're fine.
Well,
we're totally that's why when you tweeted that Saturday night of Heupel holding up 4s in the fourth quarter, it's just you're no mercy. Like, we're not shutting down.
No,
this is still going.
And the reason I laughed is I don't watch Bussin' with the Boys a ton. I do think I lived in Nashville when they started that whole thing and thought that and I enjoyed it, but then I kind of fell off, and I've kind of come back and I'll listen to it every once in a while when they have good guests. But Will Compton said something that was so funny on the last podcast. They were talking about one of these 20-year-old influencers that's making a ton of money, but he's just a kind of a piece of garbage. And Will goes, you can totally tell that some people just haven't been in an Oklahoma drill in their life. And I laughed out loud. Will's funny, bro. He makes me laugh out loud like once every pod if I'm listening to it.
It's great.
But I bring that up to say a lot of, like, there's some people out there that didn't play on a team, that didn't go the week to week grind. They don't know what it's like. And that's okay. That's fine. But don't be the ones that are talking this talk and other fan bases are like, whatever. I'm saying me personally, you can do whatever you want, but I'm not going to just talk reckless when my team or a team I'm playing on hasn't earned it yet. And then the other thing is, like, don't be those same fans that if we lose one game or we lose two games, they're like, oh, fucking fire all of them gone. You know what I mean? It's like I
overreaction Monday, baby.
I shouldn't be mad because I always say it on this pod. Fans is short for fanatics, but it shows that some of these dudes and and the reason I am still really excited and really optimistic and fired up is because they have dominated absolutely dominated the people that have been in front of them. And there have been times as Tennessee fans where we play a Troy, we play an Appy State,
Georgia State.
What's that?
Georgia State.
Georgia State. We've played these teams over the years, and it's been way too close for comfort, or we've lost. And it's like, so I remember those times, but I'm to the point now. I'm like, F this, bro. Like, I want to see us against a team. Like, let's see this shit.
I know, dude. I'm freaking pumped this week. Like,
I am too.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. I like watching the Tulane, Oklahoma, like rewatching highlights. I'm like, this is the most talent that we are going to go against. Like, so far this season, this is the most talented team. Like, yes, we might be very good. Like, we might control the game and win that game and score a lot of points and be able to stop them. But none of this play beforehand can tell us exactly what's going to happen versus Oklahoma, because it's Kent State, it's UTC, it's NC State, who was just in a dogfight with Louisiana Tech. Like, it is subpar talent that, like, I can't grade you completely on.
Yeah, and it's just annoying, Kyler, because like college football has been going on for basically almost a month now, and I feel like I haven't even got to really enjoy but like 2 quarters of football because because we just don't, not really. I mean, I enjoy all of it. I
get it.
But I've literally got to enjoy 2 quarters of NC State, and the rest of this has just been an absolute bloodbath. And so I'm ready for us to go up. I want to see some questions answered. I mean, at some point, I want to see us get punched in the mouth and how we respond. That's why I was so excited Heupel's first year, because I'm like, what's going on here? And then we would lose games, and I'd be pissed that we're losing, but I'm like, whoa, hey, we got one. We got one. And then the next year when we go in 2022, when it's a hell of a year, that's why I was so fired up. I'm like, let's go. Let's take the fight to LSU at LSU. I'm in the stands talking my talk to Alabama fans because we haven't beat them in 15 years, but I'm like, we're here. Like, it's go time now. But, like, I need to get to that point. And that's just me personally. I'm not saying that other people should have that. But, Kyler, I had a question written down to start this off. And I'm like, do you think that we're slightly overhyped, or are you a little worried? Like, and I guess we've already talked about it, but that was going to be the question I asked you.
Yeah. I don't think we're overhyped. I think a number 6 or number 7 rating is pretty accurate. Like, if they were to say, hey, you're the number 4, number 3 team, I'd be like, all right, well, I mean, chill out. We still have a quarterback who's played 4 games total. Like, hold the phone. So I think it's fair. I think people are overly excited in some instances because of the down years that Tennessee has had, that they're like, oh gosh, here we go. Here's 2022 again. but you really, I mean, you start to understand what kind of team you are and who you really are when you get into SEC play.
Yeah.
And that's every year. That's every year that has ever happened before and every year that will happen in the future. It's once you get into conference play, that's when it picks up. So here we are. Here's our first conference game, Oklahoma. Usually it was Florida. Usually it was week 3.
This week. This
Yeah.
past week. Yeah.
Exactly. So you had that game then, and you would play the NC State game 1 at a neutral site, and then play a nobody, and then play Florida. And it was like, all right, we're pretty good versus maybe number 30 ranked NC State. Let's see what this is. But because we've been, even in the NC State game, even though we're throwing 2 picks, still in control the entire time, it does feel very dominant. I mean, just the fact that our defense has let up 0 touchdowns in 3 games, it's kind of like, oh, wow. Okay. Like that in and of itself is impressive.
Agreed.
No matter who you're going against, it's still impressive.
Agreed.
And you just start to look at this stuff and you're like, okay, like I'm liking this. Yeah, I'm not going to say that we have the most elite wide receiver group in the country. I think we got a really good quarterback, and I think we got good talent out on the edges. But I'm not saying, hey, like this year cementing us as wide receiver you know what I mean? Like, let's pump the brakes. Like, I am more impressed with our run game than I am our passing game right now. Like, I think our run game is incredible. I love us running the ball way more than I love us passing the ball. So it's like there's certain aspects where it's the flashiness, it's the fun stuff that gets everybody hyped. But number 6, number 7, number 8 in that range, I think that's properly rated.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think it's properly rated in the standings. I just don't want it to be. I saw somebody else on Twitter. I don't know if it was a joke or not, and I don't know who this guy's with or not. I see his name up all the time, but it's SEC Mike, so he's a part of some sort of show. He's got 40, 50,000 followers, but he had us as a power ranking as number 1 over Texas. I'm like, guy,
no,
like I feel like Tennessee has done what we're supposed to do. That's what I feel like we've done. I'm like, check, did what we're supposed to do against UTC, check, great against NC State, check, did what we're supposed to do last night. You know what I mean? So it's like, and I just, and not to compare Tennessee with Ole Miss, because I think, we're much different, but it's I don't want it to be where we're sitting here in 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and it's like, oh, well, we thought Tennessee was this or that. And they're not that, which then kind of hurts us in the long run, even though it's not as good as you may seem. It's never as bad as you may seem. But, where it's like Ole Miss is putting up all these points and yards in the first, and they're 6-0, and then they finally go play another legit SEC foe, and they end up losing by 14. And I'm not saying that that's what I think is going to happen with us. I'm just expressing the thoughts and feelings of what I've seen in years past. And so it's just like there's still some stuff that – our defensive backs and DBs have not really been tested a ton. They did a great job against NC State. I still don't know I still don't know about NC State's pass defense. And then I think, and this is my other question I had to bring up to you, and then we'll start getting into offense, defense, and keep it moving. I'm not a huge nothing personal, but I've just never been a huge Eric Ainge fan of the radio. He's kind of just like whatever to me. He's fine. I don't seek it out, but if it's on. But I thought that he made a really, really good point yesterday. I happened to be in the car. Meg and I were running errands. They were doing their pregame talk. Like they're outside the stadium, gate 21, it's a couple hours before. And it was him and not Jason Swain. I think it was Troy Fleming, and then maybe one other non-football player. So maybe Brian Rice. And I appreciated that Eric Ainge brought up about the wide receivers because it was something that I wanted to talk about. And I'm glad that he brought it up because he has a lot of sheep following. And he's like, I still haven't seen these wide receivers catch one, break a couple tackles, and house call one.
That's true.
And he goes, and the way he put it was beautifully put. He said it's the scheme. It's a scheme that the scheme has worked beautifully, and we have the guys to run by someone and catch it. But I still haven't seen throw a 5-yard hitch and somebody pops one off like we've seen a Juwan Jennings, a Marquez Callaway, a Robert Meachin from when we were younger, maybe a couple dudes that you played with over your times.
Yeah, Justin Hunter.
Yeah,
Cordell
sure.
Patterson.
Right.
Yeah.
It's and I take that. And I make some points about Kent State. There's a couple times Kent State would sit on those, and they made some really good tackles. They were like, okay, we'll give you the 6 or 7 yard hitch, and then we'll just make the tackle. I was happy to see that Chris Brazel made one guy miss, but then he got tackled. Mike Matthews made a couple guys miss, and so it was good. But it's still But my thing is, and like I said, not poo-pooing this, but I'm just looking forward, and I'm like, well, what are legit good DBs going to do to these guys? We're the number 7 team or number 5 team or 6 team, whatever we are in the nation or whatever we're going to be. So as my part as a fan, instead of being super excited, I'm like, well, okay, what happened? Like, can we make a legit run at this thing this year?
Hey, targets on your back. That's how you're thinking.
Yeah, right. But it's like, I'm thinking like, can we make a run at this thing? And I'm like, okay, well, obviously I want my team to win a national championship in again in my lifetime, or to make a deep playoff run. So I'm sitting here thinking, hey, like, I know I can. So far, I feel like I can really trust Nico. You know, this D line's great. I like what I've seen from the DBs and linebackers so far, but these wide receivers, is it kind of bummed me out that we haven't seen the hits go to the house against UTC or Kent State? Like, yeah, maybe it has a little bit. And you made a great point. You trust the running game way more, and I do too. So you're putting up 70 points, but I think a lot of those 70 points are hype.
It was kind of the same thing I said. I don't know if it was last week or the week before, where I was like, I understand that you can't always get the play, but like the fact that James Pierce doesn't have a sack yet, I'm just like, I know that you can't always make the play. I know that it's like hard to get there. You get double teamed sometimes you get held sometimes. Like, I get that. But there's still like, hey, I'm giving you one-on-one opportunities and I haven't seen it yet. And like, here is where my line is for you. So it's the same thing with the wide receivers. It's like, you're playing against DBs that were the best in their small town high school, but like, there's hundreds of other DBs that are better than them. I mean, hundreds of others. Maybe like every other college. There's just so much more talent out there that you haven't gone against yet. And it's like, what happens when a man comes up to you and freaking presses you at the line? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it?
And I thought about it today. I thought when I was rewatching and taking notes, like, I thought about your James Pierce thing. And listen, bro, he had plenty of times where he doesn't get the sack, but he absolutely forces a bad throw on third down and wins his rush. So I'm not going to get as held up as, he needs 5 sacks already. I'm not saying that, because I think sacks can be a little misleading sometimes. If you're forcing a bad throw or a holding or any of that, like, listen, you won your rush. But there is something to be said about it, about what you're saying about, hey, once I see this is what I'm expecting. Yeah. And so, I just listen, I'm not on here to poo-poo stuff. I couldn't be more excited, but there's still some stuff out there. I would just say, like, listen, like, pump
unanswered questions.
What's that? Yeah, it's just
unanswered questions.
Pump the brakes. Let's go. Listen, I don't know a ton about Oklahoma. I've watched them a little bit, and we'll save this before when we talk about it. But I mean, going to Oklahoma, and even what you think about Arkansas, I feel like I've watched Arkansas more than anyone else, just because I've just happened to catch them. But like, going to them on maybe a sleeping nooner, they're going to be playing their Super Bowl. They have some athletes. Yeah. They got Bobby Petrino, who I think is I don't have to think. I know he's a very good offensive mind. Like that one is, I'm going to be very impressed if we go down there and handle business. I really will.
Yeah. Like if we handle business like we did at LSU in 2022, that's when I'm going to start feeling like, okay.
I hope you're not trying to compare that LSU team to Arkansas.
No, but it's just more like after that LSU game, I was like, we can win this Alabama game.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? It was just like if we beat Oklahoma and then don't fall asleep versus Arkansas, it proves to me that like we are taking it week to week. We're not overlooking anybody. We're a grown-up team. We're not a bunch of kids out here, even though they are kids. I get it. 17 to 22. I get it. But we're not a bunch of kids out here. We're taking this seriously. It makes me feel better of like, all right, what about this Georgia game?
And these,
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And these two, and the two things that shows you have a good, mature, deep, and cultured team is that you do take it week to week and you absolutely dominate the lesser opponents. Don't play down to your opponents, and we haven't, so that's great. So that's number one. You know, I maybe three things because I just thought about this. I want to see how we respond to adversity and play in a tough game. Can you learn how to win games and not lose them? And then the other one is a point on one of the tweets that I tweeted out about to see how fired up everyone was for Mike Matthews to catch his first tutty was so awesome. And I feel like I have seen that the entirety of Heupel's here, and that makes me feel so darn good because you know what he's building is real and it's not a bunch of smoke and mirrors. Now, let's hope. I know people are going to bash us in the comments and stuff, and please give us comments because I want to hear other sides of stuff. There's no bigger UT fans than you and I.
No.
There's no one.
You're not being negative. That's not what this is.
No.
It's just
a different perspective, maybe. It's
just like a different perspective, kind of humble in a way.
Yeah.
As we go into this, like, hold on a second.
Right.
Let's not give ourselves flowers. We're not, world beaters right now. Anybody can lose any week. Georgia just had an almost heart attack at Kentucky.
Right.
So it's like, let's pause. Let's enjoy it, but let's understand that we got a ways to go. Agreed. We got to keep taking a bite out of that elephant one day at a time.
Agreed. So we're going to start on silly offense here, and I have
absolutely silly.
What's that?
Just absolutely silly. I thought that was the best way to put it. It's just like you watched it. It's just like every drive, just boom, 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 boom. I've never, like, I didn't get a chance to experience something like that. I was even on the team in 2012 when we like really were cooking on offense. In 2015, we were one of the best rush offenses in Tennessee history. Like, I've been a part of some good teams, but that was just kind of like laughable how easy it was to score. So I thought silly offense is just the best way to describe that game.
So, sorry, I just got a text from the wifey.
Tell her you're on the pod.
She knows. That's why she didn't call. She texted me. She's at the grocery store. The reason that I did find some of it so impressive is you still have to execute, and they executed well. It was extremely vanilla. It was, all right, we're going to do our hitches. We're going to spread you out. We're going to make you think left and right. Then we're going to run it right up the gut. We're going to have our pace. We're going to beat you and throw you over deep. So, yes, it was – to make it look like you're playing a high school team, that's crazy. 60 points and 400 or 500 yards at halftime is crazy. I'm going to tell you one thing that I was very impressed about. And this doesn't matter who you're playing. This could be routes on air. But Nico's placement, and I say placement instead of accuracy, and this could just be my brain, but when I say he has great accuracy, that to me is you got a dig route coming across the middle, and he's got to get it in between a safety and a linebacker, and he fits it right in that window. That's kind of accuracy to me, or even accuracy on an out route, and you put it right outside the out of bounds so your guy can catch it, drag his feet. I'm talking about placement where the wide receiver, obviously I didn't play wide receiver in college, but playing wide receiver in high school, my senior year, your junior year, going to a spread to where we were throwing it all the time, learning about all different types, really learning about how some of these coaches, and I'm not saying whether I agree or disagree with it, but how a lot of these coaches look at, and Heupel's one of them, the passing game being an extension of the run game.
Yeah.
And so I was learning a lot about that. But when you want to do a quick hitch, when you want to do a quick little bubble, like a little smoke screen, literally where the guy's not moving, catching it, and he's getting upfield behind one or two blockers, when you're doing those things, the placement of the ball is extremely critical when you get it to your guys. If there was a time last year, there was multiple times that I know of where Joe's throwing it and it's a little bit behind or a little bit low.
Yeah,
maybe
it's
it's in the Missouri game. He's got Jalen Wright out there on a wheel route and he puts it a little bit behind him instead of upfield. Like those things matter. Kyler, as I watch this game, legitimately basically every time a hitch, like where we do our little up 5, 8, 10 yards, come back, turn around, catch it. Those balls were literally here and here, like here and here, here and here. And as a receiver, I like here. I don't mind one a little bit high because it gets it out from my body.
Yep.
But then the ones where you say hike and you don't even move anywhere and you turn and we hit Dylan Sampson on one, he's not going back here. He's not moving his body. It's here and he's upfield. Those things are so, so important. And so I was so impressed with those that it's not 50% or 60%. It's literally damn near 100% or 90% that all of his placements were so pretty. That was one of the number one things that I left with how impressed I was last night on some of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I thought we saw that in the first game. When in the first game, we started seeing Nico and his placement and seeing guys on the run. Chris Brazel on a post, on the run. Squirrel White on a post, on the run. Dante Thornton down the sideline, on the run. Like that was in the first game. And we were like, God, he is putting this ball exactly where it needs to be. And he does it again. Like he puts it where it needs to be for the specific play. Like you just said, hitting that guy behind the line of scrimmage, out in the flat, your guys are blocking upfield. You throw that behind the guy, he has to turn to go catch it, then turn back to go try and – that's a misstep. I mean, it's a missed timing. It's the tight end couldn't hold his block for that much longer, and we miss yards. So it's like all that stuff is important. Are you leading him upfield while you're doing that, right? Are you leading him into a reception when they're going across the middle? Or are you really setting this up for someone else to come and hit the ball out? Like, are you setting a guy up to get rocked by a safety? Like Nico's ability for placement, and I do agree with you. I think it is different than accuracy. I think the tight window is what accuracy is, but placement is a whole other part of the game where it's like, here is something that I can do to give an advantage to my receiver, not wide receiver, could be a tight end as well, but my receiver on the play after he catches it.
And the pass to Chris Brazel,
it
was a handoff. He handed it off to him. He
55 yards down the field.
He literally just went just like this. He didn't have to really overextend. He didn't have to stop. He just put his hands out and bread basket.
When he let go of the ball, Chris was 5 yards behind the DB. 5 yards. The safety had 5 yards on him when he let go of that ball. And then he was 5 yards ahead of the safety when he caught it. And that is Nico just being like, I see that safety is there. I know that safety is there. I know he's in quarters. I know he wants to run with Chris, but he ain't going to. and I'm going to throw it right where Chris is going to be. If Chris keeps running in a straight line, he's going to catch this thing running.
It's was a thing of beauty. People say it all the time, breadbasket. I mean, it was if you and I are just walking, tailgating, I'm walking and throwing a ball around. You're right next to me, and I just literally just hand it, and you're just like,
hey, shout out Gaston Moore.
Hey,
he made some good throws too.
Gaston, I loved what I saw from Gaston because it does make me feel, hey, if something happened, you know, like, and I thought this, I said it, back before before it even started, the season even started or whatever. I said, I feel fine if Gaston comes in. He's going to run the offense well. Now, what kills you with Gaston is you take away the threat of the QB run, and obviously he's not going to be able to extend in the pocket like Nico does. But I mean, a couple of the balls that he threw to Miles and to Mike Matthews, and he had one, I think, on a sideline that wasn't for a touchdown, but it was an absolute dime piece. So it was great to see that, and I really enjoyed. I almost enjoyed once the game was in hand. Watching some of the young dudes. I mean, this was one of them, the ones that I was like, all right, because this one was so out of hand, which we've had plenty of ones that are out of hand before, but sometimes I feel like hype will leave the dudes in a little too long. You saw backups on backups on backups on backups.
Yeah. There's something I do want to talk about with that. I don't want to badmouth anybody, but I don't want to see Larry Johnson out there while Nico's out there. Please, listen, Larry, you know what? You're going to get there. You need a little bit more time. You need to learn a little bit more. Not trying to shit on you. But your liability right now, you are where you are.
It was kind of early.
It was kind of early. And I'm just like, if Nico is still in there, just give me Dane and give me John. You don't have to put Lance out there. Lance not even see him. So
he didn't play.
He didn't play. Just while Nico, if you're going to play your starting quarterback, you can play your starting tackle. Okay. You do not have to rotate him. He's not that tired. He's okay. He can be out there. Larry he's not there yet. It is great for him to get a full half of a game with Gaston Moore at quarterback, but please just not with Nico.
Let me take something else there too. Nico, get down, bro. There's a couple that just get down. I don't want to take away.
I don't care about you getting a first down when we're up 40.
Yeah, I don't want to take away what makes some people great. This is, of course, the thought process that I have in my brain when I'm hitting a walk or I'm driving by myself, and I'm listening to sports talk, and they're talking about it was Thursday night. It was about to be the Miami Dolphins versus the Bills, and they're talking about Josh Allen, and that they want him to, don't dive, don't be jumping over people, don't be truck sticking people. And I thought about it. And there's two differences here. Josh is already in the pros. Josh has already made it, he has a long way to go, and I'm assuming that I'm fair in saying that Josh wants to win a Super Bowl. And I've heard him say that he wants to play for a really, really long time. But I'm saying he's got enough money. He's set. He's, quote, unquote, somewhat made it. So that's number one. But I was thinking, and I was like, if I was Josh Allen, I would, if someone interviewed me or whatever, my coaches, I'm going to tell the coaches what they want to hear. But if someone's interviewing me or whatever, I'm like, hey, I want to play as long as I can, and I'm going to play until the wheels fall off, but I'm going to be me. Now, am I going to be reckless abandon where I'm just truck sticking everyone? No. If it's 2nd and 8 and I only get 4 yards, I'll get down, but I'm not going to take away. You can't change usually how people play a game, what's in their DNA. You can a little bit, but
you can be situational,
right? Exactly. And so my argument is, if Josh Allen doesn't want to change the way he plays, and I'm thinking, if I'm Josh, if I can play 12 years or 13 years one way compared to eking out 14 or 15 years because I was, sliding stuff. Like, give me the 12 or 13, I'm good. I left it all out there, I'm done. But with Nico,
yeah.
You got to get down, bro. Like, maybe if it's a big game, maybe you're playing Georgia, maybe you're playing Bama, and you have to have it. Maybe next week in Oklahoma, you got to have it. But he took at least 2 or 3, maybe 4, way too unnecessary shots in this game.
No, and like Josh Allen too. It's like, how many years did he play at Wyoming? How many years has he been in the NFL? And the guy still hasn't had a major injury, and he's played this way the entire time. It's like, he's a big freaking dude. He's 240. Like, he can play a certain way because of the way he is, the way he's built. He's been doing it for a while. This is your 4th game. This is your 4th game, okay? This is your 4th game in college. Like, chill out, all right? And number 2, don't build these habits up versus piss poor talent and then think you can do it versus SEC talent and someone comes and hits you in the mouth. And it's a whole different ball game. There's D linemen that are 50 pounds heavier than the D linemen you've been going against. There are linebackers that are 15 pounds heavier with 10% less body fat than the linebackers that you've been going against that you're going to play. So it's like, there's a difference.
It's
so
a part.
Be aware of that. But I'm with you. It's like,
it's a part of being a gamer. You're either a gamer or you're not. And I think Nico is.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I almost feel like I can say I know he is, even though he hasn't been in a big game yet. He just has that vibe of him. I think dude's just going to be a gamer, and he'll do what Hendon does. He got the yardage when he needs to get it. He'll get down when he needs to get down. But I just had to bring that part up. So I'm going to just through a couple plays. I've already talked about some of the different placements. Jackson Lampley, there was a couple times, man, like it just can't happen.
He's oversetting. He's oversetting on the guys. He's almost lunging in a way and literally just missing them. And
you called it starting the year that you thought Carrick would be in there, and I was like, well, I think maybe Lampley just because he started last year. But based on what I saw, I need Lampley to make a step. If something happens, like he's going to be our left guard potentially, unless they rock Dane in there somewhere, but. You can't. This is Kent State. Like I don't need to be seeing 75 getting beat multiple times.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've already. I want to talk a little bit about Mike Matthews.
Yeah, I've got just like some of the stuff in the beginning.
Go ahead.
I thought Squirrel should have caught that ball.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. Yes.
And then he actually got like ran over the next play trying to block somebody for I think for Brew on the edge. Dylan's first touchdown, it was great because the screen earlier in the drive actually set up that touchdown. They did the exact same formation and bumped everybody out. And when they did the screen, they only had 2 guys out there covering. And then we got 10 yards first down. Then they get in the same formation. They've got 3 guys out there. They've got a guy over the other way guarding whoever's at the bottom of the screen. And there's nobody really like in the middle of the box. And it gives Dylan that kind of free run to go and score a touchdown. So it's like in NC State, we use the run to set up the pass. In Kent State, we use the pass to set up the run. So it's just like a continuous circle. I love it. Just the whatever it gives you, that's what you take.
Yeah, I love to see. We know Dylan can do it, and so Dylan's fantastic, and love the way he runs. But to see Deshaun Bishop get to set somebody up in the open field, because you can be a good running back that doesn't finish great. Like you can legitimately be a starting running back in college, but you're still maybe not great when you got to beat one. And to be really, really good or even great, you got to be able to set your guy up and beat him. Jabari Small would set dudes up and beat them in the box or beat them in the open field with his jukes. Jalen Wright would either run by you or he'd run through you in the box, and then in the open field, he was okay sometimes. Sometimes he'd get tackled. But I just love to see that Deshaun just, hey, do your little, a sidestep, kind of hezzy, set him up and finish. Like there is something about finishing.
Yeah, no, he made safety look dumb a couple times, so
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. We talked about Nico and like him hitting like Chris on that post, Braz on that post, and then Braz on the deep ball.
Chaz Nimrod had a couple good catches, which I was happy to see.
Yep.
I do got to give a shout out. We were talking about, I should have talked about it with Nico running. That tackle from that Kent State DB at the pylon on Nico was a fantastic football play.
It was.
It was a fantastic football play.
And I honestly think if that is a third down and goal in a tie ball game in the fourth quarter versus a SC team, he can hit Ethan. Like I thought he could have hit him.
Yeah.
As he was rolling out, and he decided not to and just took it and ran. But I was like, Ethan had a step on the DB. I think you could have led him, even though you are rolling left and you're right-handed. So it's just like, okay, like just watching the decision making. I get it. Kent State. Maybe that's why you didn't, but like I think he could have hit him.
You know what else I think too? I also think if it's a big game, he's getting a tutty there. I think there was a little bit of apprehensive. He's running, maybe subconsciously. He's like, I know I don't need to take this hit. Maybe go for the pylon, maybe go for out of bounds. But I think he cuts that thing up and gets in if it's a bigger game.
Yeah.
Just because he might not be thinking it in the moment of the big game, but how you are worked up and wired into a big game. There's Kyler, I can promise you, correct me if I'm wrong, but your brain and your intensity and your mindset – not that it was low, but it was a lot bigger against Georgia, Florida, and Alabama than it was against North Texas.
Oh, yeah.
So, in that stuff happens just subconsciously. Offensively, another great placement, one to Dante. So I'm ready to move to defense.
I loved two things. I loved the two tight end backfield. And it was literally just zone, inside zone, double team in the middle to the middle backer. Both tight ends go to Sam and Will. And we scored twice in that formation, one on a 4th and 1. I like that formation versus what we've done in the past on 4th and shorts. Because me and you, we've always talked about, like, what are we doing out of the shotgun on 4th and short? Why aren't we having bigger guys in there? Why are we still spreading it out? Like, let's get tight. Let's run the ball. So I like that formation. I thought it was a good wrinkle, and I cannot wait because you freaking know it. There's going to be a pass off of that. There's going to be something set up off of that where it's going to be tied in over the middle, somebody going deep, looks like a run, and we're going to take advantage of it versus Oklahoma. You know how Heupel's brain works. I'm so excited to see what's going to come out of it because he never runs a new formation or he never does a new formation without something
coming off of it.
Something coming off of it.
Yeah.
And then Mike Matthews, touched the ball 3 times, 3 good plays.
Yeah.
Return, good catch, break tackle, catch for touchdown. I like it.
That you could just tell too that he's. There's something different about him, the way he went up and high pointed that and was able to contort his body and then even landing the way he did and catching that. The return, he didn't even look that fast, but he's running by people, breaking tackles, and it just looked very effortless. And then even I'm talking about a little bit of yak. Yeah, he didn't house call one, but he got his little quick screen, whatever you want to call it, and he broke his 2 tackles and got up for a first down.
Yeah.
And so you see where there could be, we have the big deep threats, and I mean literally big, in Chris Brazel and potentially Dante. And Bruce, who he is, man, Bruce a possession guy, and he'll make a big play for you. He can beat some people deep like we've seen. Now, I haven't seen it yet off the injury, but, I was thinking back to even like Velus Jones, where Velus could get, I remember when we played Missouri and they threw him a little smoke screen and, he was gone basically. And So I feel like, and it might not be this year, and Squirrel's pretty good with his yak, but I'm liking what I'm seeing early from Mike, that in years to come, he could be kind of the all around type receiver player. So
yeah, I agree. I still just don't understand his speed yet. Like I
don't either. It's weird. It looks weird.
It doesn't look like he's moving fast, but I think he is moving fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know.
It's trippy.
All right. Well, some defense.
Yep.
0 touchdowns. I really didn't even realize that. And we haven't let up. They went back to freaking Iowa too, and we hadn't let up touchdowns versus Iowa. I was like, holy shit. Yeah, our defense is actually pretty good. Now, we just spent the first 30 minutes talking about the competition, so there is a little bit of that. And like you said, like our DBs haven't been tested. Nobody's I haven't seen a deep ball thrown. Like, you know what I mean?
They've been tested. Like, they got tested in that first half against – I'm just going to say they haven't been tested a ton, but they got tested in that first half of that NC State. I mean, running with conception in man-to-man coverage, through traffic.
That's true. Boo did some impressive stuff that we talked about.
Yes.
We talked about some open field tackling from Jared McCoy.
Yes.
It's been good. They've shown some good stuff. And I'm starting to like these guys and where they're at and how they play. Like, I'm starting to see what kind of player Jacoby Thomas is. He got that targeting, but it's like this guy loves to hit. He loves to come up, make those plays. I'm starting to see just consistency out of Will Brooks. It's like a guy you didn't expect, a guy you didn't see being a strength. You thought maybe he would be a weakness, and it's like just consistently making tackles, coming up in good spots, doing what he needs to. Jermon McCoy, in press. I thought he did a very good job on that one slant where he's literally pressed up against that guy. Great hands to start off with, then comes across his body with the reach, bats the ball away. It's like, okay, I'm starting to see some good stuff out of these guys.
And I want to echo that too. First off, it doesn't matter who you're playing. To not give up a tutty is very impressive.
Yeah.
Very, very impressive, because there's, one guy could get beat. And
also, shout out Tim Banks.
What's that?
Shout out Tim Banks. There's a lot of scheme that goes into that too.
But, I mean, to not give up a touchdown, one guy could get beat. It might not be on the unit, but they could get a deep throw and a guy falls down, or a guy gets high pointed on. And, it's impressive that not only have they not given up a touchdown, but it very much seems like these teams have had a hard time even breathing. And so I've been very impressed with it as a whole. And I like from the DBs, they all seem to shoot their guns really, really well. They trust what they see when they're fitting on in the run game. I love Jacoby Thomas and how that guy plays. I was pissed about that targeting, because I'm going to tell you why that play was so damn impressive. You've had safeties growing up in our lifetime, and all the listeners, whether you're in high school or college, or whether you're 50 or 60 years old, we all know the safeties that we're thinking of that would come across and just clean somebody out. And you get a tight end coming across, but to be able to lay a lick like that when the guy is catching and turning upfield, or the Eric Berry on Noshawn Marino, where Noshawn Marino is running full speed, or you got a guy that's coming up through the A gap, he cuts, he breaks off a tackle, and then he gets absolutely smacked. Those are the ones that really, really impress me. And that part of this one is guy catches, he's turning upfield, and then it's like, whoa, that's different. That's not. He just didn't get a kill shot. Or the ones that I really love is you kind of see the guy get the handoff, he goes, he kind of busts it out a little bit off the tackle's butt, and then you see that guy slide down that alleyway and come in, and Jacoby did that right before he got kicked out too. So that's why I was so impressed with that hit. And listen, I know you're supposed to keep your head up and you're supposed to see what you're hitting.
Yeah.
But in that position, I don't think that should be targeted. I think he played that nearly perfect. And when you're going in to hit someone, to keep it up like this compared to that little bit of tilt, that is so difficult to do.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's safer, but I'm saying I feel it's safer and I feel better if I'm running in to hit somebody and I'm going with both arms. Because if you're doing shoulder, if I see someone and I'm going shoulder, I can keep my head up and kind of put it to the side. But if I'm going like he's going, it's really hard to keep that head up and look. I mean, I don't want to snap my neck back. I want to put my head down and use it as a spear. And I know they're trying to get away from that in certain instances. But in the instances where he was, I hated that call. And growing up and watching the safeties that we saw, matter of fact, I don't like using this example as if he's a great safety because he was fine, but I just saw a clip of Ryan Clark when he came across the middle and hit Wes Welker and absolutely murdered him.
Yeah.
And it's like I grew up loving those hits and wanting to do those hits. I understand why they've taken them out of the game. So I'm okay with that. Don't take this. Do not this. If that had been a big game and we needed him, I was going to be very, very frustrated because there's not much else that he can do. There's legitimately not much else he can do except the bull crap, throw your shoulder in there and not wrap up, which I get annoyed with. All right.
That was going to be my point about it. Is like he's not doing the typical kill shot shoulder lunge thing. Like Buddy is coming in there to wrap up, pull the legs from behind as he puts in the shoulder. It's like he is performing a technical tackle, like a very technical tackle. That was the part that got me the most is like he is coming in there with all the right intentions. It is very hard to be like, hey, I'm going to throw my neck up because it's also like this is weak. Like this is a weak position in your neck.
Yes.
Like having it all straight in a line is the strongest position. So it's very unnatural to go like that.
You know what it is, Kyler? I used to say this all the time in the first company that I worked for, and it's very it's a very good metaphor and example for something like this, where if you work for a company and you have your corporate office and you have people in the corporate office that are making all these rules and regulations and policies and how they want things to be done, but they've never worked in the field.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense for someone who's never done it. And kind of the Will Compton joke, you can tell some of these people have never been in an Oklahoma drill in their life. It's like, none of these people have really had to come up and take hits. And listen, I'm all for this safety. I really am, but you can't take it so far to where what he's supposed to do. It's getting to a point, Kyler. It really is getting to a point where these safeties, especially in some DBs, but if there's a pass, you really can't hit. You almost just have to run there and either try to pick it off, or if the guy's going to catch it, then you better just you better just hold up. And like for today, when the Titans game, Will Levis did have a beautiful ball to Tony Pollard, and Tony Pollard's going down to catch it. If you're Chuck Clark, basically, you have to go over there and you see he's going to get it caught. I'm thinking, well, I shouldn't dive to hit him. I'm just going to have to stop. And when he catches it, just make sure he's down. It's nearly impossible to play it. And if
you're in the defenseless receiver part of it, it's like, okay, so if a receiver's not looking at me, I'm not allowed to touch him. I'm supposed to let him catch it. And
then they're so fast they just take off running.
Yeah.
And the other thing is too, keep your head up. Like if you're playing linebacker and you're right there in the middle of it and you're taking on like a block, like that's easier. You're two dudes taking on shoulders or chest, keeping that up, head up's a little bit more easier there. But when you are then going in to make the tackle attempt, it is extremely hard to keep that head up. And I just hate that, man, because it's a bummer. It's that part's a bummer. And I love the way that he plays. He has some absolute savage and violence to his game.
Yeah, he does. And I love that safety.
I mean, let me give a couple quick shout outs and then you do the same. Not only did you mention you had Mon McCoy with the fantastic coverage that you already mentioned. I thought that there was Jalen McMurray. It was good to see him out there. He had a couple really nice coverage plays. Defense, we talked about Jacoby Hitt. JP, we've already mentioned at the start that he had some third downs. And I thought whether it was Will Brooks, saw John Slaughter a couple times, saw Farouk when Jacoby gets kicked. Like I said, Boo Carter, Jermod, like all of our DBs, they shoot their guns quick. They go to the alleyways. They do a good job in the run support. So I want to give them all credit for that. Defensive, and same thing with linebackers. I feel like Arian Carter, T. Lander, Keenan, they all play with good speed. Jalen Smith was back out there again this week, and there's times where I think Jalen looks a little bit better than Caleb Perry, and Caleb Perry's been in the program for a little while now. So, and maybe
out there a couple,
and I love Edwin. As a matter of fact, I think it wasn't like the first play he was in, but the second play he's in. I can promise you the guard knew he was in the game because he absolutely came up and smacked Buddy. So as a whole, I love that defensive line. I'm not going to talk much about the defensive line because they're incredible and they did what they were supposed to do. They were really good. And I'll let you tie in what you want to say. The only other things I want to say about the DBs that you mentioned that, hey, they haven't been tested. And I said, well, they've been tested a little bit for a couple quarters. I want to see these guys get tested for an entire game because that makes a massive difference when you know that you can be aggressive, tee off, and there's really not that threat of getting beat or letting up a big play in a big game. You play defensive back a lot different. I'm ready to see these guys be in good coverage but give up a pass. How do they respond? I want it to be a 7-point game or a 10-point game, and a quarterback rolls out. Maybe Jackson Arnold rolls out, breaks a tackle, and he's got one of his guys screaming. Like Gabe Giudioli could stay with some folks. Kamal Haddon could stay with some folks.
That's right.
There's some good corner play. That's what I'm ready to see. I'm ready to see Will Brooks in man-to-man coverage against a slot receiver or a tight end. I want to see Andre Turntine have to be the deep safety on a real speedster. That's what I'm ready to see.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like I'm like trying to think. I don't think I've seen like the prototypical like screen pan when it's a deep ball. And like pan the screen to like, oh, what's happening now that the ball is thrown down in the deep? Like, I don't think I've seen that this year yet of like any of those. Like, where is this ball going? Where are the safeties? I hope they're in good position. I hope the corner's in good position. Like, I don't think I've seen that yet. So I'm with you. Like, I want to understand what's going to happen in those situations. I think Keenan, the more and more I watch him, the more and more I start to like really like him and fall in love with him, and like his speed, the way he closes in on stuff, his sure tackling. I start to like him even more, and just knowing that he's just like a old dude who's super smart too. It just like makes me love him. There was a play where Tyree, Elijah, and Omar were all 2 yards in the backfield. And I was like, I mean, you literally can't do anything about that. Like they're literally resetting the line of scrimmage 2 yards in the backfield. There is nothing you can do about that. Calling out McCoy, James Pierce. I thought he was the reason we had a safety. Like his effort in running down the ball, that was the reason it was a safety. Like I think that quarterback might recover if he's by himself on the 1 yard line, and it's not actually a safety. So it's like effort out of James Pierce. I love to see it. A lot of bad play by them, like bad snaps. We're just like, dude, y'all can't help yourselves out. I thought Boo made some good tackles. Boo at returner drops the ball immediately. And I think he's just like, I want to make a play. And he's like so bad, like, I want to make a play. 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 He's not like, hey, Take care of the ball first, then we can make a play. Okay? It's going to be all right, Boo. You're going to get there. You're going to get your chance. Just
He had a nice return, though. And then Jamon McCoy.
I know he did. He had a good return. That's like he can do that. It's just like catch it. Okay? Like let's take care of the first thing. And then Jacoby with the targeting was like one of the last things I had down.
Back to the corners, I was thinking about this too, kind of how I was giving that example, like one run across, you staying with him in man. But I'm also excited to see how they react and they play their zone. Anybody able to jump a route and bait somebody, like you said, the deep route? Do we got anybody that's going up like a Danico Slaughter, which I even forgot the guy even existed until watching some of the Arkansas game, but how he went up and high pointed a Will Levis ball. Kamal had some of those high points. A lot of that stuff is it's going to be very important when we get into playing some of these other teams.
Okay. Speaking of,
what's that?
I said, speaking of getting into this SEC play.
Yeah. Well, and I'll get there, and like what you said, I really like KP as well. I'm ready to see some of these linebackers in open field. Or in the gaps, or against better elite, But I love how aggressive they are. They're head hunting. I haven't got to really even see them how they get off blocks yet, because we've been so swarming and our D line's been so good.
Yeah, a lot of double teams getting taken up by D tackles.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say on the Kent State game, it was really cool. I know we already talked about how many guys were in there. But these guys that we were rolling in late, I mean, some of the freshmen and sophomores that you and I have broken down their film. I mean, when they get in there, they look the part, which is nice. There's been a time more recent than I would want to admit that some of these backups are getting in the game, and you can tell that they're backups, and I don't like that. And so whether they're offensive linemen, defensive linemen, wide receivers, running backs, like at least you see him and you're like, I'm excited to see how a buddy develops. So I wanted to shout some of those out. So what's your thoughts on Oklahoma?
So rewatched a little bit of Tulane. I watched a little bit of their previous game last week too. So they got this Arnold guy at quarterback. He is more comfortable running than he is passing. He is a sneaky kind of fast where you don't think he can get out of there, but he does, kind of like Baker was in a way. Or it was like you didn't think Baker could actually get out of that, but he does somehow. But when it actually comes to throwing the ball, I'm not like overly impressed. And one thing, and I talked about it with the NC State quarterback, whenever the turnovers happened and I saw him put his hands on his head, and I was like, this guy is done. Oklahoma, Arnold got out of a sack and immediately tried to dump the ball off to a receiver, even though he didn't have to. And he was off balance. He could have picked six. Tulane linebacker. Tulane linebacker, runs all the way back. You see him just like this on the sideline, walking down the sideline. He sits down. And he's just like, They could not complete a pass after that. There was a whole quarter left of the game. And I'm telling you, the Arnold guy was off the rest of the game. The only touchdown they scored was him scrambling to get out of something and running and being able to weave through and score a touchdown running the ball, not passing the ball. He was not very accurate after that. It's very much gets to him. That gives me hope. That gives me a lot of positivity, because I think making him think twice, getting in his face, defensive line up in the middle, James Pierce around the edge, it can kind of affect this guy. Okay. This is still the best talent that we have played like I said in the beginning, these wide receivers are faster than every other wide receiver we've watched, right? They're going to run better routes than every other wide receiver we watch. These running backs are better than every other running back that we played against. This offensive line is better than every other offensive line we played against. Okay? They can have good double teams. They can get movement up front. Now it's up to our defense. What can we do versus that? It's going to be a big game for backside defensive ends. Like I said, this Arnold quarterback likes to run. He is more comfortable running than he is passing. So they run read option. They watch that backside defensive end. They block everyone except for him. Okay? They're reading off of you. What are you going to do about it? Tyree West, when you're in there. Joshua Josephs, James Pierce, Dominic Bailey. When you're at that D end, are you going to be able to read, make him hand that ball off, trust your guys, and also get down the line once he hands it off? Or not fall for the handoff, stay with the quarterback, and be able to make a tackle on him because he is one of those sneaky fast dudes. And this offense, they like some motion. They like to move some guys around. They like to go crossing. So linebackers in star position, eyes are going to be big time for those guys. Where's my eye discipline? Am I actually reading who I'm supposed to be reading, or am I getting distracted by something? Am I falling for the play action fake? Am I falling for the motion? Am I getting myself out of position because I think more guys are coming to this side of the field? Because that was happening this last game when they were playing Tulane. So those are just some of the stuff I saw like from them offensively. And I'm like, all right, defense, here's a new ball game, right? This is a new step. Now we're in SEC play.
Yeah, I'm excited for multiple reasons. As a football nerd, I'm excited to see what Heupel does offensively. How Brent Venables tries to stop our offense, what they try to take away. Are they just going to say, hey, we're not going to get beat over top, and we will try to bend but don't break, see if Nico will – if we make Tennessee earn it with a 10-play drive, okay, that's fine, but we're not going to give up a 45-second, 3-play tutty.
You know what? I really hope he thinks that way. Because all the coaches who think that way, who go, we're going to let them have the little stuff, and we're going to let them do the 10-play drive. We do a 10-play drive, and then the next drive, it's 8 plays, and then the next drive, it's 4 plays, and the next drive, it's 2 plays, because they keep trying to do that, and then we go, oh, well, you only have one linebacker in the box, so we're going to run this down your throat. Right. And Dylan Sampson takes it 50 yards for a touchdown.
And I don't disagree, but I'm excited to see what they do and how I want to see if Heupel's himself, if there is a little something subconsciously with this, because it is a big game for him going back there. Yep. So is he? It would be hard to say. Is he more aggressive because he's already a pretty aggressive guy? What wrinkles does he pull out here? Obviously, I'm not worried that he's going to be overly zealous and not be himself. I don't think that's the case. I think he'll have some great stuff and make some great play calls. Excited to see how Nico does against another speed. It's going to be another speed. It's going to be a hostile environment. And I want to see if we can run the ball against Oklahoma like we've run against these other teams, including Iowa. And let's see who makes plays on offense besides Dylan Sampson. Is there someone else besides Dylan Sampson that steps up and makes the Ramel Keaton long ball catch into the, who makes the big play across the middle catch and gets hit like Brew? And defensively, if I'm Tim Banks, I'm going into this. I'm going in here. And if Jackson Arnold beats us, it's going to be through the air. Oh yeah. And I'm selling out
in his face. I'm getting all kinds of people all up in his face. I'm getting Omar Norman Lawton one-on-one pass pro. Like I'm thinking about all that stuff. I want this man to throw the ball.
Yes. And UT fans, little PSA, if he starts completing some stuff and they start trying to do some misdirection, they start completing some stuff early, they start getting some chunks, everyone just take a deep breath. Let's see how it gets into the second quarter and maybe even into the third quarter a little bit. But if I'm Tim Banks, I'm going into this thing, and it's the running back's not going to beat me. Jackson Arnold's legs aren't going to beat me. He's going to have to get out of the pocket and find somebody downfield, or his receivers are going to have to win their one-on-one matchups and beat us with their route running or beating us deep or playmaking. And that's why I'm excited for this game, is because we're about to find out a lot about Tennessee. Now, is Oklahoma not looked great against some of their components? Yeah, they probably haven't. I didn't watch anything against Houston, but I can promise you Tulane's not a bad team. They're not. They're not. They're. I would take probably Tulane over. Actually, I would definitely take Tulane to beat North Carolina State. And so, yeah, I'm very excited because I feel like this should be another level in evolution of this team for me to really be like, okay, it's, you know what I mean? So
I agree with you. I think offensively, I think we can run on this defense. Like I said in the beginning of the pod, like I have so much trust in our run game. I have so much faith in our run game. The way that we scheme things up, the way that we ran the ball versus a head up nose versus North Carolina State.
Yeah.
I love to see that. And Oklahoma likes to do that. They will change it up and go into a 4-3 and kind of split the center, but we've also had success versus that as well. So I love like our pin and pulls and our counters. I love our guys pulling out there. Like that kind of stuff is more of our bread and butter that we really didn't even do versus Kent State. And we can have a lot of success with. Their linebackers will come, and they will come fast. They don't hesitate at all. When they see run, they go. They shoot the gap. They're not ones to read, try and get over the top of the block, or, try and engage the block and shed. They're ones they say, oh, I'm going. This is my gap. I'm shooting my gun. And that's great for us in counter schemes, in gap scheme football.
And play action.
Take care of your gap. And it's great for us in play action and what we do over the middle of the field. So,
and that play action is whether it's a little dump to a tight end, but more importantly, a play action, and you got the deep dig coming behind it.
Yeah. And then they also like to send their inside backers on blitzes. That's their blitzes that they like to do. Not as much outside, more inside. Maybe a twist with it, right? So who's that important for? Running backs.
Yeah.
Okay? Running backs coming up into the gap, picking up pass pro. Tulane's running backs did a very good job of it. I saw a lot of times they're meeting linebackers in the hole and doing a good job. Will Dillon and Deshaun do that? That's a question. I think they can. I've seen Dillon do it before. I haven't necessarily seen Deshaun, but here we are. Now we're in SEC play. Here's what it's going to be like. Let's see what you can do.
You think Brent Venables and the defensive coordinator says, yeah, this Nico guy, he's a good player. He's still young, and it's on the road. We're selling out to stop the run, and we're going to make him beat you in the air?
Man, if I'm a defensive coordinator watching some of these games, I don't know if I can say that. I think I want to rattle him. I think I want to get him running. It's better than him standing in the pocket for sure.
Yeah.
So maybe forcing him outside of the pocket is better, giving him half the field to work with.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they're going to really have to trust their corners to man up to play on an island, because I there's no way that Brent's going to let him. I just think that he knows that he's going to say, if I'm losing, I'm definitely stopping this run game, and I'm not going to let Nico sit back there. So I think we'll see a lot in the box, and I think we'll see a lot of blitzes, because either it's a blitz that will help stop the run, or it's a blitz to speed him up. But damn it, I couldn't be more excited. I wish I was gonna be there. Good pod. We were gonna try to keep it short again, but we couldn't because we started talking at the beginning and kept going. So
like we always do.
Hey, brother.
All right, man. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. If you are watching, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a comment. If you're just listening, rate and review, download, re-download, and follow us on all those listening platforms. Also follow us on social media at Pancakes and Bacon for our main account on Twitter, at Pancakes and Bacon _RTI on Instagram. You can follow Reed on Twitter at rbacon26. And then you can follow myself at Kyler Kerberson on all social medias. So just check me out there. Very excited for Oklahoma this week, for Josh Heupel revenge, for SEC play. A lot of stuff going into this. And thank you guys for being the best fans in the world. As always, go Vols.